tell you guys a little bit what it took to actually put Cars Land Christmas together. And it was very exciting for us because this is one of the first times we've branched way out just at Disneyland Resort. For those of you that know me and you've talked to me before, you'll know that my team also decorates Alani. We decorate the cruise ship as well as all of Disneyland Resort. So we're definitely outside the berm. But as far as creativity goes, the creativity has always stayed in-house. And this was our first time that we actually got to sit down with John Lasseter and his team and actually talk about what is this going to look like. So I want to share a little bit with you without sharing too much of the magic. I want to tell you kind of what went into that. As you guys know, Pixar has a passion for their assets. These are their children. All these cars and bugs and toys. This is all, you know, they're very, very protective of it. When we sat down, we had a vision and an idea of what we thought Cars Land would look like. And our first rendition was good. And Pixar came back and said, you know what, really nice try, but you guys are still thinking about Disneyland. You've got to get your mind inside of a car. You've got to think about what a car would do, not about how people would decorate Route 66. And our first thought out of it was just that 18 months ago. It was like, hey, what would they do on Route 66? So after we got that, we threw out everything we had, and we started over again, and we put our minds inside of a car. And from that, we started coming up with very unique and very creative and different decor. The decor that you're going to see in Cars Land, you will not see anywhere else, and you cannot buy it anywhere. Because it is all one-of-a-kind stuff specific for California Adventure. And again, I want to reiterate it over and over again. This is a different experience than Disneyland, and that's what we set out for. This is not, oh, I saw it across the street, why do I need to go over to that park? This is a, you must come over to this park because you've never seen this at any Disney park globally. Our first and only meeting with John was absolutely incredibly amazing, where we sat down and to see John's passion for cars and to see his artists and how excited they were about what we were doing. That started a 8-month conversation through emails and phone calls. As we would design, create, and build things, I would send it over to his artists and they would say, hey, you know, tweak this, add this. And it was one of those relationships where you absolutely love working with other people and you want their input, because as they suggested things, our stuff started getting better and better and better. We wanted to make sure that there was a welcome message that was the photo opportunity and potential merchandising opportunity as well. So we sat down with this idea of a melted snow car, and from that, John's team came back with a whole other different kind of snow car, and then we came back with something, and they came back with something, and we ended up with what I'm considering to be one of the cutest pieces of decor that we have at the resort, which is Snowy, and that is the official name, Snowy the Snow Car. And Snowy is welcoming our guests into Cars Land along with our new billboard, which is Seasons Speeding. This is a daytime and a nighttime decor package. Both are incredible. The daytime is obvious, and we're going to kind of walk through that, but you need to come back and see what happens at night. Because if you all remember the, I think it's called the Shaboopy moment or the Shaboom moment, whatever they call it, where all the lights come on. But we have the same kind of thing, but it's the holiday moment. And the same kind of thing happens, but now we're introducing all the holiday Christmas lights, all of the lights on Sarges, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we move through. But part of this was we looked at, again, partnering with Walt Disney Imagineering. They came up with the idea of overhead garlands, which was great, except that in Radiator Springs, they only have telephone poles on one side of the street. You watch the movie. So what were we going to attach it to? So we quickly thought during construction, let's go ahead and put pole mounts in the ground, and we're just going to annually drop in telephone poles down the right-hand side of the street that we then can connect these great overheads to. The story behind the overheads is, you know, Mater and all the gang have really helped out and joined in this decorating program. So Mater's come in with his snowflake wrenches, which are really cool. Those are molded off of real wrenches. And of course, all the garlands you see are modeled after air filters. So the idea is it's multiple different types of air filter garlands with pine in between and then traditional C9 lights. We went through about 10 different renditions before Pixar came back to us and they said, you know, Fillmore is all about yard art. Well, we had no idea. We thought he was all about organic fuel. But apparently, he's got this great little backstory that he likes to do yard art, and that's why you see all these little yard art cars and the planners. So we came up with this great yard art tree, and then one of the designers from Pixar sent us this car angel and said we'd love to see this on top of the tree. That's all I needed to hear. So that's our car angel, the only one at the Disneyland Resort. Mater's was kind of a fun project for us because, you know, it's a junkyard. So what is Mater going to create his tree out of? Well, whatever pieces he has lying around. And so we came up with the idea of a junkyard tree. And if you look, there's embedded pieces of car parts all inside of the decor package. Now at night, this whole tree lights up and the spark and the spark plug arcs every 5 seconds or so. And that's Mater's treetop, because what else would he have? This is one of those daytime, nighttime shots. If you haven't seen this at night, you need to come back just to see this. But this is an explosion of red, white, and blue color on Sarge's. So, again, partnershiping with Pixar and Walt Disney Imagineering, Pixar came back and said, we really think that Sarge's tree would have some kind of a big star on top. It would be a big statement, maybe like the side of a battleship or something with a general star. Well, what we came up with is a Jeep hood, a front and a back, and have a Jeep hood on top of Sarge's Christmas tree. But this is really the story, the front of it. The design came out of Walt Disney Imagineering, and the idea was to light this up like 4th of July times 10. They had put all these lights all over the building. Well, our first pass at this, we realized putting that many lights in this building during the day was going to look terrible with all of the electrical wires. So we photographed the front of the building, we went in and cleaned it up, and we printed these panels on our large printer, mounted them together, and put several thousand lights inside of the panels in red, white, and blue stripes. So at night, the tops are fireworks in red, white, and blue shooting off. You've got thousands of lights in the front in a red, white, and blue pattern. And this tree, from the top down, has close to 5,000 lights all in red, white, and blue layers. This is an unbelievable, must not miss. So, creative artists came up with this idea of the Cozy Cone Gingerbread House, and it is absolutely one of those little hidden gems that people are going to go by and they're never going to see unless they're told to make sure they see it. We've changed the name of this shop to Radiator Winter Curios. It's no longer Radiator Springs Curios. And of course, Lizzie, with all of the stuff that she has, her Christmas tree is things right out of her shop. And the idea here is she's never taken this Christmas tree down. And she's never taken her lights down because, remember, she either falls asleep or she forgets. So this has been up for years and years and years. But if you look at the top of the building, there's little bits of snow caps on all of the signs. And again, those are those little hidden treasures we're just kind of putting in there to see if people recognize it. And again, give that nod to the holiday. What would Flo do for her Christmas tree? Well, naturally, would be stacked oil cans. And this is really interesting. I'll give you a backstory on this. Originally, when we decided to do this, the cans were all going to be punctured, and the lights were going to be coming from the inside out, almost like a tin lantern. And Pixar came back and said, wait a minute, she wouldn't be having cans with holes in it. These are filled cans that she's selling. Like, oh. And that's, again, part of that partnership and its storytelling, how we work together to make sure that we're accurate and true to the story. And if you can see on top, her Christmas star is an inverted V8. One V8 up, one V8 down, creating a star. Alright, we're going to move down to Luigi's. We've taken all the white lights out of Luigi's and we've replaced them with red, green, and yellow, and a few hidden white ones because we ran out of our red, green, and gold. We've also added the garland around the tires and put the large star up on top. So this is the kind of location that we'll look at and we may say next year, what else could we do? What else could we add to Luigi's? What would Luigi's do? And that's some of our thought process here. Again, these areas like Flo's and Luigi's and Ramon's, this is the areas you want to see at night because you've already got the great lighting that's part of Cars Land, and then you layer in this whole Christmas package on top of it, and it's just unbelievable and over the top. We did a lot of lighting tests, and our concern was that the neon would overpower the Christmas lights and you just wouldn't see it. But what we found is that it is so complementary to the neon and to the land that you definitely see it. But again, it's a complement. It doesn't stand out or it doesn't become distracting. It's part of the show in a very appropriate way. It's a must-see. So yeah, we haven't lost those ones. One of the things that we looked at was we wanted to put a large tree in here. We wanted to have a big tree in the center of the window. Unfortunately, there was no power. And we didn't think about this till after the fact because when I looked at the original blueprints, I didn't know this was a window. So we never got that infrastructure in. So we put a smaller tree in, and we did find some power, but we had to position it in the corner. But again, these are those things that we look at and we say, next year, what can we do out here? What could be a potential layer next year? Now, don't know if we're going to do it, don't know what it could be, but we're always looking, what's the next thing? How could we plus, add, and make it even better? My team is always thinking, always thinking. The idea is we don't stop thinking, we don't stop creating. I'll worry about where we find the resources to make these things happen. What I want my team to do is to continually look at opportunities and say, that would be a neat spot. Would this be a great place to do Christmas Burma shape signs, for instance, if you remember the old Burma shape signs? Maybe, you know, maybe not. Do we want to light trees? I've looked at all the trees in here. How cool would it be to maybe put twinkle lights on all the trees for Christmas? Maybe, but maybe they're not twinkle lights because we do that in other places. So maybe there's something else. Maybe they're car lights. I will tell you that I've already created and we're building out poinsettia car lights made out of brake lights from old cars, and they look like clusters of poinsettias. And that will be something you'll see next year.